Thank you, Nicola. Welcome in NT Gent. I am the business director of NT Gent. I work here for a year and a half now. And as you can see, I'm in a wheelchair. And that's what the topic I want to talk about today. I heard that this can be an interactive performance, so I will try to do that. Please, if you have questions, if you want to make some remarks, I will give you the word. But before, I'm 43 years old. I have a son, he's 4 years old, almost, not already, but almost. I have a wife, I live in Ghent, and I live here for all my life. I want to excuse me for my English. It's very good, especially if you want to laugh or if you like the Gentian accent. But before we start, the first question I want to ask you, who lives in Ghent? Who lives really in the city of Ghent? And if I mean the city, I mean the city center, but also the suburbs of Ghent. Who lives in more big, almost everyone, not everyone, but a lot of you. And I want to ask you a question. I do so also my complete life, but why do you like to live in the city? What's the city life you choose for? Someone wants to tell me? Why do you live in the city?
It's got some great aesthetics. I like the medieval character and all the eclectic things you can find here.
Yes, indeed. I love it too. It has history where you live. Someone else? Why do you live in the city?
There's something to do every day.
Yes.
I come from a small village, so
There are events every day.
yeah, there's
Every
an event every day.
You don't have to think what I'm going to do tonight because there are possibilities.
Yeah.
There are a lot of possibilities. What other reasons?
Well, related to both of what was said, it's easy to get around, at least for some people. I mean, it's easy to get around.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's where you have to go to. And
Yes. You're very close to everything.
Yes.
You have to go to the grocery shop.
Yeah.
You just do it. You have a quick run to the, I don't know, bakery, and then afterwards you go to the bar with your friends. And everything is very close by. There's a life. The city is alive, and you as a citizen are alive too. And that's what I like in the city too. That's really my life. I worked in the city. I worked even for the city. I was the chief of the cabinet of the mayor, Daan Vander Steene. Maybe some of you know him. I was his chief of his cabinet. I was really in the power of the city to make the city, to decide how the city evolves. That was my position, and I worked there, and I did it with all my heart, and I loved it to do. But then, 3 years ago, I'm an MS patient, multiple sclerosis. Maybe some of you know it. It's a disease of the nerves, and it changes everything. I have it for 20 years, and like 17 years, it was not really a problem. It was a problem for me, but nobody saw. And now, 3 years ago, there was a big elapse in my nerves in my spine, and now my left leg is not working anymore like it should be, and it starts here. And that means that I can walk like now for 2, 3, 4 meters, and it's very difficult, and it's this is how it is. And the big problem started 2 years ago when COVID arrived. Not because of COVID, it had nothing to do with it, but it was at the same moment. At that moment, I really couldn't move myself without my wheelchair. Before, I used my wheelchair for long distance, but long distance is more than 500 meters, but now I have to use it every day, in my life, in my house, in my room, in my kitchen, every day, everywhere. And it changed. And then, okay, at that moment there was a lockdown, so everyone had to stay home, and me too. And that was not, it changed my life, but okay, it was like, it was a lockdown. We were at home and nothing else. And then the city opened again, and the life started again. And we all together loved again the city life. And what happened to me, I saw, oh, I'm not a part of this anymore. And maybe some of you saw it, but I wrote a letter. And this is why I think Steven and Nicola asked me. I wrote a letter in September of this year to tell this to the people of Ghent. And I just took one example. It's just one example. And it is, in working in Ghent, living in Ghent, my life was working hard, living hard, going to the bars, going to the restaurants, having culture all the time. Thinking, okay, what are we going to eat today? Let's just have a takeaway. Pick up some food, make it tonight. Oh, you are coming? Okay, come over. Very nice, very cool life. And it stopped. Why did it stop? Because from that moment on, nothing was easy anymore. Everything had to be planned. And there were so many, how do you have to say, so many steps to take before I could do anything. And I'm a strong person in mentality, also financially. I have a good job, I'm a director, and I have a very big social life, so I have a lot of help. But still, it was very difficult. And I thought it's a reason to raise my voice, and that's what I did. And then I want to ask you some questions about it. What could be difficult for me? Give me some examples.
Stuff on the pavement?
Yes, that's incredible. There's nowhere, no street you can go without going up, actually I have to ride on the street because there are bikes, there are, yeah, that's one. Another thing.
Of course, beautiful cobblestone streets.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Public transportation, if you want to take the train, you have to call, and the big stations, you have to call 3 hours before. You have to call, can I come? And then someone comes and opens the train and makes sort of a ramp so that you can come in. I'm asking myself, we are 2021, why isn't it possible that I can do it myself? That I can push the button, that it opens. Why is it? No, you have to call 3 hours before. One example, there was this manifestation of the cultural sector, I think just before Christmas. We went to Brussels to tell the government, please open culture, why are we closed? And I had to call to the NMBS and to say, okay, I want to go there. So it starts at 2, just so I will take the train at 1. And when are you coming back? I don't know. It's city life. It's city life. I don't know. I want to go to the bar afterwards. I want to meet friends. They will be there. I don't know, maybe at 5, maybe at 6, maybe at 7. Oh, this is a problem. You really have to. So I didn't tell when I wanted to go back. So I went to the railway station, and a friend of mine was there too, and we really had to ask, can someone help us to get into the train? Of course, this is not a problem. There are so many people who help us. And, but yeah, this is one example. The public transport. Others?
If you want to go to a restaurant and there's like stairs to
Yes, there are stairs everywhere. In Ghent, there's like no bar or restaurant where you can come in without steps. That's not true, of course, there are. But the most important thing in restaurants and bars, what is it? The toilet. There are some restaurants where I can come in, but there are, I think, 8 restaurants in Ghent who have a toilet for people with disabled people. If you go to the bar, then people say, okay, but we had a ramp, you can come in. Yeah, but I can't drink anything because afterwards I have to go to the toilet. I don't know if it works for you, but for me it works like this. So, so no, it's not possible. Yeah. Only one. Who has the last thing? What's difficult?
The supermarket? Go to the supermarket?
Yesterday I went to the Aldi, you know? I went to the Aldi and I wanted to go just quick shopping, some fruit and coffee. I needed coffee. So I took a basket, put it here. I learned this, how to do it. And I took this basket, took everything, went to pay, and I wanted to go outside, and they stopped me. Stop! What I'm doing wrong? You can't take the basket outside. But I have to put it in my car. I will bring the basket again. Back, it's not a problem. No, there's an alarm, and if you go with the basket outside, the alarm goes on. Can't you put it out? No, we can't. Okay. And then she took the microphone and she did it like sort of this. Anita, for the grocer. Can you bring the sandwich basket? And then they brought me a very big basket for the sandwiches with it in, and I had to put everything in, and then I could go out. So it's not a problem. I loved with it, and yeah, but it's all the time like this. But okay, just to give you an example. I wrote this letter, and what was very interesting, that was interesting, a bit also sad, was it was shared 4,000 times. If I would have done this for sharing this, that I hoped people would share this, it never would have been shared 4,000 times. It was incredible. I had so many reactions. Yesterday I checked, and I had 850 personal reactions. People who wrote me. People with disabilities wrote me a letter and said me, thank you for doing this. But not only disabled people, of course, also their network and so on. It was amazing. But all those people said, okay, there is hope. Please raise your voice. And the 4,000 times it shared, it meant for me that the real problem is not that people don't want the society being inclusive. That's not the problem. Every one of you thinks, okay, Dan, come with me to the bar. I hope so. But not my wheelchair is the problem. You think, come on, that's not, never I experienced that someone says to me, no, we don't like people with a wheelchair. We don't like it. No, that's not the problem. So what is the problem? And this is something I really thought about it last months because of this letter and all those reactions. And I think there are three. And those three things I want to share with you because as I learned about Creative Mornings, creative people, for me, this is the future. You think about how the society can be. And this is what I want to ask you. The first thing is, like you said, awareness. You don't know. I didn't know. I was in the center of the power of the city of Ghent, and I didn't know. We decided things that were not good for disabled people, and I didn't know. So the first thing is, please help us to be aware of this. Because an interesting question is, do you see a lot of people in wheelchair in Ghent? Do you think they are not there? Of course they are. When I went to the UZ, the hospital, to learn to write with this, there were a lot of people in a wheelchair. And when we talked to each other, they didn't come to Ghent. And it can be the other way around. I was, for example, for my job to Avignon, the theater festival. I was there and I thought before, okay, it's an historical city. There are hills there. It will be very difficult. All those in France, small bars, it wasn't difficult at all. Not at all. Never had to think where I'm going to be. Every bar had a toilet for people who are disabled. And if they didn't have, they said, okay, but I have an agreement with my neighbor, you can go there. Avignon. You know Avignon, been there? It's an historical city. It's like Ghent. It's even more difficult as Ghent, and it's worked. So there's hope. The first thing is awareness. The second thing is design. This is your job, design. I want to tell you some stories about design. In design, the first thing I always get, we will think of a solution, we'll make an app. There is an app on wheels, it's called. I'm very happy that it's there. You can see the map of Ghent, you can see everything what's possible places to go, and you can click on it and you can see if it's, you can come in your wheelchair. The only problem is that every time you click, it's no. So an app doesn't solve this problem. Some other things. I have a crazy, and I'm very happy with this, I have my bike. This is my bike. What I do is I click this on my wheelchair. It's an electric bike. I'm driving with this 25 kilometers an hour. I drive at home with this. It's wonderful. It's my life. City life with your car is shit, so this is wonderful. Problem. How do you put this, all those designers who worked on this, very good job, how you put this in somewhere if you go to a bar? What are you going to do with it? You put it on the street like this? This costs 6,800 euros. I was funded a bit by the government, so otherwise it wasn't possible to buy this. But it costs a lot. And I know why, because it has a lot of design and you can't sell it to so many people. But for 6,800 euros, you can really have the most incredible bike. And still, we can't think about how can I put this here in Ghent. Second question, can I put this in my car? No, not possible. Every time I put this in my car, afterwards I have to go to my mechanic to repair it. It's always broken afterwards. You can't put it. There's no bag with it. There's no possibility to lock it. So that's an example of design. We really need to think about design. How are we going to do it? How can I take things with me? How can I go to the grocery shop without problems? Today there are a lot of things happening. For example, if you go to Deleuze or Carrefour, they have now, maybe you've seen it, a small grocery car, and you can put it here, and it's before me. So I drive like this, I take everything out, and I put it in. Very nice job. But design, there's a lot to do. Trains, buses, airplanes, holidays, terrible. Going on a holiday, okay, airplane, no problem, you can do. You go to your hotel, no problem. Most of the international hotels are okay. But last summer we went to a house, small house, because I wanted to go with my son. Always in a hotel is not the best place for a son. And we asked before a house for disabled people. Yes, you can do it. It costs a lot, but okay, let's do it. 1 week. Perfect, we come there, the house is perfect. You want to go to the terrace to sit outside, and the ground is this small keys. I couldn't be on the terrace. I wanted to go to the swimming pool, very nice swimming pool, but it's uphill, and the road to there is through the grass. Not possible. I had to ask every time, please, can someone, and people are very helpful, thank you, but you had to ask every time, please help me there. The strange thing is that the government says to you, as a disabled person, you need help. We will provide help. You can have an assistant. The government wrote me a letter and said, you can have an assistant every year. I get 30,000 euros every year to pay an assistant. But wait 8 till 20 years till we have the budget. And in the meanwhile, we organize everything like you have help, and not that you can do it by yourself. So for everything you do, you need an assistant, but we don't give you one. I don't want an assistant. I want that I can do it by myself. This is design. If you want to go to a shop, if you want to go to the business administration of the city of Ghent, if you want to go to the bar, people say to me, it costs a lot to make it accessible. It shouldn't cost a lot. If we have a smart design, we can do it without having it cost a lot. And then the last thing that we need, awareness, design, is leadership. And this is the most difficult. Awareness, okay, difficult, but doable. Design, difficult, but for you, not a problem. Leadership, difficult. Already 20 years, when I was at university, 20 years ago, there were diversity plans. And still today, we have diversity plans. And when I wrote my letter, politicians and administration said, okay, we will do about it. We will make a new plan. I don't want a plan for 20 years. I want to go to the shop, and I want to go to the bar, and I hope you join me. This is leadership. Take the leadership for an inclusive society. And this is why I want to talk to you about the invisibility. People, disabled people, are invisible. You don't see them. And the real handicap is today not being in this wheelchair, because you can do all this with it, so okay, but that everything you have to do, you have to ask, you have to plan, you have to organize, and you stop. At one moment, you stop. I'm not there yet, but I know I will be there. And a lot of the people who wrote me, wrote, I stopped, and I'm invisible. And that's, dear friends, why I wanted to talk to you about this. Because in this, how can we change this? How can we give examples to leaders? How can we be a leader that change this invisibility, that people stop? Now I check what I wanted to say next. For example, the city of Ghent, like I said, they say we want to make a new plan, and then they are it's okay. And then they said to me, we will make a plan and we will change the legislation. We will say, okay, from now on, every time you open a new bar, because this was the example I gave, but it's going to the doctor, for example. I can't come in. There are a lot of doctors where I can't go. So I really have to search for a doctor where I can go. This is also designing of the houses and so on. But when I said, okay, we want to change something, we will say every bar that opens now and needs a new agreement of the government, we will say, okay, it has to be accessible. So yeah, if you wait for that, then it takes 40 years. Then when I can go to a bar. For example, I was with my wife. We were, for people who know Ghent, at the Vrijdagsmarkt. We were there and we said, okay, we want to eat something. Do you know something in the neighborhood of the Vrijdagsmarkt that's accessible? A really little bit at the Ghent, but a little bit, not too much. There's only one office I can work in, and I work there, of course, and in the bar. But we were at the Vrijdagsmarkt, and there was no place where we could go. Oudburg, Groentemarkt, Vrijdagsmarkt, Korenmarkt. The only one that's possible is in the Pakhuis, and still it's very steep, so you need an assistant to do it, but it's possible. Yeah, but just what you love in city life, okay, and again, I want to leave here today, I want to have a drink, where do I want to go? You always have to plan it. So I was just telling to the deputy mayors of Ghent, and so they were saying, okay, we're going to change legislation. Then I said, no, we really have to think otherwise. We really have to think with people who are disabled. This is something I really recommend you if you do something for people, you know all the stuff and work with persona, please do it. Do it with them and go there and check what you can do. Because in legislation there will be, okay, at every floor there has to be a toilet for people who are disabled. The door has to be like this and so on. And this will take time. So this will take years and years and years. And then I'm maybe too old to go to the bar every day, like I did before. So I want to go there and I want to say, okay, what can we do now? And think differently. Think in the other way around. Think around what we normally would say. Okay, it's good that in 10, 15 years it will be changed like we say today, like you propose today, but now, for example, Vrijdagsmarkt, and I'm there, please, maybe it's possible to have 2 toilets that are accessible. And you together, work together. If I'm in this bar, you know, I'm sorry Dan, you can't go to the toilet here, but my friends there, they are open and you can go there. This is an example. Please think about things like that. For example, the buses. If you want to go into a bus, there's also a sort of ramp that comes out, and it has a special key, and this key is in the bus, but really nobody knows, because they are scared that someone will take it, and then it's gone. So they hide it, even for the bus driver. That's really a problem. Is there not another? This is not something we have to think about in another 5 years. We can change it now. There is a possibility to bring this key somewhere in a spot that everyone can see it. And if someone, not a nice person, takes it and throws it away, maybe you should have a second one. Solved. Yeah? Why is it necessary to close the toilet for a disabled person? Every time. If there's a toilet, then they close it. Because maybe someone can be there. That's not supposed to. So you have to ask every time. I think there are solutions for that. Please find them, and this is what is my question to the city and actually to all the people of Ghent. And this is what I wanted to share, and I'm open for all your questions. And besides that, it's not only today you're welcome in Ghent, you are every day welcome in Ghent.